Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Pete Dragstrom from letpeteplan@gmail.com, an agent for Boardwalk Travel Agency, and I'm joined here by my...
Your wife?
Yes. Oh,
yes,
yeah, that's right. That's right.
I know who that is.
Couldn't
I'm
remember
Jule
who she was.
Dragstrom. I am an independent boutique consultant for Style Dots. You can find me at jule.styledotshome.com.
So, we got that out of the way. Last week, we went around and ate around the Magic Kingdom. Not really technically ate, although we did. We did go to the Magic Kingdom and eat a little bit. Now, this week, we're going to talk about everything else. We are, I got it broke down into 4 categories. We got must-dos for every trip. These are things that if we don't do, we're really upset. Understand sometimes they're down and we can't handle that. Maybe every other trip or once in every blue moon we'll do it and we'll feel satisfied. And then there are things that just miss the magic, that just
didn't quite
cut it. And then maybe some of those would miss the magic, might have been the once in a lifetime things, but all other things are just make sure you really do it at least once in your lifetime. Mm-hmm. So those are my categories. And we're going to start off with her and her favorite attraction.
My favorite attraction is the Haunted Mansion in Magic Kingdom. The Haunted Mansion not only is it's inside, so it makes for a nice day and break in the day when you've had a hot day. It's also got an amazing queue. If none of you have ever been in it, we have a son that has a disability, and so a lot of times I end up kind of going the shorter way and going in more of a lightning lane thing, and so I miss some of the queue.
He has a DAS. We usually get a DAS too.
For him. And so I'll miss the queue, but I would recommend at least getting in the queue some, because there are lots of interactive things. There are tombstones that you definitely want to read. They'll make you laugh. There's some characters, maybe some ones that you hadn't even realized had been there at one point in time. There's some rides that had originally had locations maybe in Disney World, and maybe they're gone, and so now there's a little tribute to them within that. There's also the characters themselves, or the cast members in each one, and play characters. Whether they be a maid, the butler, whatever, there's a character in each one. And all of them are very serious about their roles. Mm-hmm. As I said, I tried to make a joke the last time we were there and didn't really get a whole lot of response because they stayed in character. They were very serious, and it was a haunted mansion. And as my husband will tell you, I love anything haunted, so it kind of makes sense that that's that thing at the top of the list. But and it's a pretty easy ride, not a heavy duty wait, because as I said, the outside queue has a lot of things to see, and so you keep kind of busy in that line. And then once you're inside, that queue goes pretty quick, because they're just seating people one after another in their what they call their doom buggies.
DOOM.
Yes, doom buggies. And so, and it does slow down. If you have somebody with a disability, they can either stop. They try not to stop the attraction too much, because that stops everybody midway. But if you can get on while they've slowed down, it's a little bit easier. And then that keeps the ride going. But they will slow down. They have kind of your escalator, your flat escalator that's taking you along, conveyor belt, type of idea, and so they will slow that down for you. So it is a ride really for everybody, and if you like a little bit of haunted stuff, just to kind of to give you a little scare for the day, it's fun.
I totally agree with you. Haunted Mansion is one of those things I like to do every trip, and actually you even got into the every other trip. I like to at least go through the queue itself without going through the DAS part once every other trip. If I'm with just my oldest son or just my wife, I really like the idea of, this is not one I would get a I want to say Fast Pass, but a Lightning Lane or a use them with Genie Plus with. I just wait for the, look at the time on how long you're going to stand in line, and then go when it's a little lower. I would wait 45 minutes for this.
Yeah,
easy.
it's worth it.
If not even a little bit more, because you really are moving a lot, and they house a lot of people in as much as you can. And she's right. There are tons of like little interactive things, picture opportunities too. Okay, my favorite. I think I alluded to it a little bit because there is going to be a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. My favorite is the Carousel of Progress. I'm a history buff. This is something I must do every trip. I hate it when it's down, which with this one being as old as it is and the animatronics being so outdated, and hopefully someday they may update it. I shouldn't say hopefully, because I don't want them to. I want them to keep it the old 20th century way and watch it. It's just one of those things. And along with the Haunted Mansion and the Carousel of Progress, it's air conditioned, and you get to sit and relax for 20 minutes. Now, with the Haunted Mansion, you might get a little scared, a little thing, but it's not something. To go back to the Haunted Mansion, it's not something that you should be afraid of taking a child with, or anything like that. My son loves it. And he used to always come out saying, "Ooh," kind of scary.
The carousel doesn't.
Carousel just knocks him out, makes him sleep. And there are some times when it makes me sleep, but then again, I'm getting a good nap for 20 minutes.
It's a good show.
And it's a good show, and it's one of the songs that gets in your head that you don't mind being in your head. Okay.
Yeah. It's got a strong enough pull that you kind of enjoy that song. It gives you something to sing, and it's kind of one of those, if you're in the know, if you're there a lot, you can always tell when you come into the Carousel of Progress and you've got a group, and when the song comes on, if the entire room starts singing, you've got a lot of Disney lovers in the room because they know all the words to it.
Or if you don't, they'll look at you like,
Who's singing? Why are you all singing this song?
Will you quit?
Yeah, I was gonna say it has some hidden Mickeys, folks.
So definitely.
Watch for those hidden Mickeys,
especially in the very last scene.
Yeah, you'll see a little.
The
bit
last
more.
scene that is supposed to represent kind of the future.
Kind of the future.
And actually,
it's the
ironically,
future. If I was in the '80s, it would be what I would picture the future to be.
When it was made. It was kind of the future, and you'd be understandable. They were fairly accurate.
They really were.
I could see that scene go on almost anywhere today. Yes. Any living room, kitchen, whatever. Don't want to, no spoilers here.
Yeah. So what's our next part?
Well, we can go on. I got a few must-dos every trip. Not really must-dos, but I think...
well, I was going to say, I think there's also one, folks, that's coming that should be a must-do from what I'm thinking.
I hope.
I'm hoping. It's Tiana's new ride, and I am so excited about that ride. I am hoping that's got I can picture a lot of things being in that. And I'm really hoping food comes along with it, too.
And that might be another thing.
A little beignet in Magic Kingdom would not be a bad thing.
We've been promised at least the smell.
Yeah, which I'm good. That will be...
I don't know. I think that might make me want a beignet.
Well, like I said, even if I could have a little stand out there, I would be good. You got the new cheeseburger stand area that we talked about last week. Well, I wouldn't mind having a little beignet stand with some different stuff. Hopefully that happens.
Well, I'm hoping...
We don't know.
I'm hoping it meets your expectations and my expectations, because what it's replacing was one of my favorites. Carousel of Progress was always my favorite. But Splash Mountain was my second favorite.
Splash Mountain was fun. The splash part of it was fun. The storyline was a little old, and a lot of people didn't even know what the storyline really was. They didn't realize it came from a movie. Yeah. And so a lot of people didn't even know what it was because it doesn't really exist much anymore. So they kind of, with taking that out, that's probably a good thing, and giving it a little retool, considering
ironically
that Tiana's a little more present at this point.
Ironically, it was based on an old movie called Song of the South. Mm-hmm. We won't get into the politics and all that stuff there. But it was named after the movie Splash, because that was part of Disney's touchstone things. And if you remember the movie Splash, it was Tom Hanks, Daryl Hannah, I think, movie about a mermaid. And it was called Splash. Well, they wanted to capitalize on that name, so they called this Splash Mountain. Although it had nothing to do with that movie, but one from a different movie. And the music in that was always good, too. It still is. I still have it on my playlist.
Always.
When I walk.
Well, Zippity Doo Dah can never be a bad thing.
Yeah.
That's a good song.
But that would have been one of my must-dos.
Do you have any other must-dos, like every time?
That I must do every time. Not every time. I have some of those every other trip ones.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I can think of a couple that are more of an every other trip one.
Food too.
Well, I was thinking, like, for the every other trip, I mean, I sort of feel that way a little bit with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. I love that one. It also doesn't have quite the queue is really cool. Honestly, the queue is my favorite part of the whole thing. And I hate to say that, but it does have a roller coaster vibe going on, but at the same time, I don't feel like it really fits this whole Snow White thing. So I love it. I think it's really interesting. I think they tried to hype it up the best they could. I'm not sure it quite meets my every time thing, but it does. But it's fun to go in.
It's still one of those things that usually has a huge long line. Now, I think because of the most recent addition to the Magic Kingdom, and which is something that I don't think either one of us have on our maybe a to-do list, but on this, because we've never tried it, is Tron. I think it's taken away from some of that wait time that you've had with Snow White's Mine Train. Yeah. My only problem with the Mine Train is that it's a whole lot of waiting for a very short ride. I wouldn't call it miss the magic, because I think you're right. The queue is really good, although
it doesn't fit Seven Dwarfs. It kind of doesn't. I mean, it kind of does, but I guess
Seven Dwarfs. It doesn't really fit Snow White.
Right. It doesn't fit her as a princess, and I guess the idea, what my brain was, it's about Snow White, and it's like, well, okay, it's about watching them go mining, and I'm like, it kind of misses a little bit for me. I don't know.
But I think you're right. I think it's really cool because one, you can rock yourself a little bit, and which with my
it reminds me a little, the little crates remind me a little bit of, and I'm gonna quickly jump on you over to Universal. Reminds me a little of what you get with Harry Potter going down into the bank. So that's what they do.
Yeah, kind of does.
Kind of does
from what I've seen. I've never been on that ride.
No, I haven't either. That's what. But
we won't. Yeah,
you need a little bit of the rocking.
We won't talk about the dark side.
Universal
we won't talk about the dark side here. However, as an agent who can book Universal for you, I'm willing to book it for you. Okay. Okay. That would be my. That would be somewhere between every other trip and Miss Magic because of one thing. It's not something that I have to do.
What's something that misses the magic for you?
That's tough.
Or even that it's not something that you'd like would be in every other trip or every so often thing that you like, okay, but it's not quite hit that mark.
this is going to sound weird because this would be on the top of a lot of people's. Is Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, that's true for him.
I have not. I will tell you, I've never been to Disneyland, so I don't know what. And everybody says the one at Disneyland's much better. They say that about a lot of things too. Which someday when I get out to Disneyland, I'll find out for myself.
Been there, but didn't get to go on all the things like that.
Pirates of the Caribbean for me. I never really got into the movie franchise, I guess, and then again this had been going on, the ride and stuff had been going on a long time before the movies ever came out. I don't.
It just doesn't have the same.
Doesn't have the same oomph for me. I don't know what it's.
And
hard to say.
there's not a queue really per se.
It's really not a queue. You just kind of go through and
there's a
few
things encased in like window looking things, like you're looking through and seeing the barrels sitting there of smuggled things. I have so many things that I would rather do. Yeah.
Than that, and one of them I'm going to talk to you about, and this is kind of an every other trip thing.
What is it?
The Jungle Cruise.
Oh, and I get that. That's a good one. It's the cast that makes that.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
It's your captain.
Yeah.
Who can either make it or break it.
And they do such a
good job.
And
most of them are very. I have never had a bad captain.
I haven't either.
I like the ones that will allow you to play along. There are some who, are think you can tell they're new and they're okay. I got this script in my head, and but
there's ones that have been there a long time.
And there's
doing
ones that are gonna, the backside of water. I'm not no spoilers.
But it is worth it.
But it's worth it. But it's not one that I would do.
It's good with Christmas too.
Oh yeah,
it turns
into what is called the Jingle Cruise instead of the Jungle Cruise. It's fun. It's a good overlay.
It is.
And it's something that around Christmas time I definitely want to do. And do the Jingle Cruise. And
the animatronics are a little old, but they still.
They've
updated
give you
a little bit of a
they've
kick.
updated a little bit.
I just think, like, when you see the hippos in the water, they look a little bit older, but that's okay.
And ironically,
have nostalgia
this is the one. This is actually the one attraction that actually probably forced Disney to do an Animal Kingdom, and we'll talk about Animal Kingdom sometime down the line. But Walt wanted real animals on this.
Yes.
However, the logistics of having real animals in a confined area in that park, especially
and that close to people,
especially hippos and elephants and snakes and all that fun stuff, would have been very. Not to say that you don't see snakes every once in a while in Magic Kingdom if you've seen some videos lately. Or any other, wild animals. Squirrels. And speaking of it,
watch on Carousel of Progress.
If you want to watch something funny, go to YouTube and type in squirrels Carousel of Progress. But
it's fun.
Back to that Jungle Cruise is really good, or the Jingle Cruise, whichever floats your boat. It's not something I have to do every trip, and as a matter of fact, probably if it was, the weather-wise, it's not something that it doesn't really have an enclosed. I mean, you're on a boat that's enclosed stuff, but I don't know if I can handle it if the rain was coming in like a Central Florida downpour could do. Although it'd probably make the queue a little bit shorter, and you get through quicker. But, again, that's another one that we get a DAS for mainly because most of the waiting is outdoors, and it's just easier to come back, and then they'll take us on our own little trip. But that's one of those things there.
Every other,
I have a nostalgic one, the Barnstormer, which is in that. I only have to do it every once in a while, and I do it with my oldest son because that was the first roller coaster I ever went on with my son, my oldest son.
And it's fun.
Which leads me to the one.
Well, I was going to say, because that's kind of the way I think about Big Thunder Mountain. Big Thunder Mountain was one of the first ones I went on with my daughter.
That is
that's
an every other trip for me.
That's a nostalgic thing for me too. It definitely it just makes me smile when I see Big Thunder Mountain, and I think of her first time panicking that the spot she could see was going to be part of that, and how high it was up, and realizing that was just part of the facade of the whole the idea of the mountain that you could see, Thunder Mountain. So she assumed that was part of the part and parcel of the ride, and it wasn't. Mm-hmm. So that's a fun one.
The wildest ride in the wilderness.
But I will tell you too, if you have little kids and you're wanting to get on these rides, you may want to make sure, because I got on there and got halfway through the ride with her before she got kind of panicked and wanted to leave, and there was no way to get out. It was going to be very difficult to get out, and she ended up going on it, very upset with me. So make sure your kid's really wanting to go on that before they go and jump into that.
And also, this is a thing. If there's a height limit, follow it.
Please follow it.
Don't try to fake it. Don't try to put stuff in their shoes and do that. Do it, and don't rely on the cast member to catch you. Know ahead of time what your height limits are.
Because those bars are meant to go to a certain spot, and if you are shy of that area, guys, that's dangerous. You will slide out of that ride.
Yeah, especially on that one. As a matter of fact, I like Big Thunder. I'd probably say that's not necessarily in every other trip, but once in a, I don't. It's not a once in a lifetime. And it's not a missed magic, but it's sometimes you need to go because it's fun. Probably lately I haven't been going is because usually we used to go to like Splash Mountain and then just go right next door to
now
Big Thunder. Now that Splash Mountain is becoming
Tiana's place.
Tiana's.
It's got a name.
Something, yeah.
But it may change names at this point. We don't really know what it's.
Which it's supposed to open up next year sometime. We'll know more as we go on. But that was usually just there. And I will say that I'm going to go straight down to maybe once in a lifetime, maybe twice. I think everybody, especially if you're a photographer, go over to Tom Sawyer's Island.
Yes. And
walk around. It's very difficult with someone who's in a wheelchair. I wouldn't suggest doing that, but I have gone over. It gets hot during that, stuff. And if you catch it when Aunt Polly's Kitchen is open and you can get a drink or something like that, that's great too. But for someone who wants to take good pictures of Big Thunder Mountain or even the Haunted Mansion from a distance, it's a really cool place. And it's also, it would be if you had kids who were just wanting to run for a while, it's a good place too. And then you could, there's places to sit down and relax. And but it's pretty neat. I think it's more of a, as I said, more of a once in a lifetime. Maybe I've been on it twice. I don't know if you ever have.
I have. When we first early went, we went one time before.
Because I don't.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
You went with us that time.
So everybody
It's
went.
just been, it was a long time ago. We went on the ferry to go over there. Mm-hmm. That's when Wyatt was pretty darn little. He was still in it was a wheelchair, but it was basically at that point in time still a stroller.
And ironically, he walked better than he used than he does now.
So we could get him up and down places.
We could do that.
So I was going to say that I was thinking about when you said that. The Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse is a little that same way. That's not a place for somebody to go if they have a disability. But if you've never gone up that high and into that area, it does have a lot of kind of cool little picture areas and opportunities. And you can also kind of get a chance to see some of the tops of some of those buildings that you were talking about too, like the Haunted Mansion. Not as well.
Well,
but if you can,
it's a neat area. And we went through it a couple trips ago. Just you and I did.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see just what viewing area you could see like the castle from, and I wanted to see what that, and would it be a way to kind of sneak up there during the fireworks and watch it? I don't know if it would be. It's neat,
but it's neat to see it once.
There's a lot of green around.
I think
you
you
do
need
get
to
some.
see it.
You do get some. Like if you're like me and you want to take pictures, you do get some different angles than you normally wouldn't get. But that's that.
I was gonna say there's one thing you need to do at least once, just because of where it's at. You need to go into Cinderella's castle and have a meal. You need to be able to see from the inside out, because that is especially as a little girl. As a little girl, you've seen that castle a million times, and you remember being that little girl watching that movie and thinking, boy, I wish I lived in a castle.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives you that opportunity to look out that window and know you've been inside one of those castles.
That was going to be one of my. That was definitely going to be once in a lifetime.
It is a once in a lifetime. I don't think it has to be more than once. I mean, they had a very good meal, and you did get to see the princesses, and our son even got a sword and kind of got to have kind of the Prince Charming vibe to it all. But it was definitely a once in a lifetime. I don't think it's something.
And ironically, that day it was raining. While we were in the building, it was raining, but we could still go out and watch. There's windows, and you could look out, and you were looking down Main Street. And with it raining, there was a lot of people just kind of getting out of the way. But I had a clear shot. I remember this. Wish I would have thought about it, just taking a clear shot of the train depot from back there, and just from the thing. It's really, really cool vibes and stuff. I would. Definitely think that that's a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
Okay, now there are a couple Miss the Magics. I just thought of one. This is going to sound bad, and
no, probably not.
It's going to sound bad. Be our guest, and that's a restaurant. I know. I just think they missed the magic on that.
Depends on where you are. I think in that restaurant, that's one of those. I think there's a lot of neat magic to see. I'm not sure whether, though, they captured what I think of. When I think of Beauty and the Beast, I captured more of what felt like a cafeteria feel. Instead of feeling like I was...
That's like the indoors. And I will say that I'm there.
Beauty and the Beast.
Now, if you want to go and just say that you've been at the Beast's castle or whatever, that's all said and good. I don't think it's as important to do that as it is to go to Cinderella's table.
I was gonna say, well, I think
however,
the rose.
Yeah. However, leading up to the castle, there's some really cool. Like they have gargoyles, and then they have a big griffin lion type thing.
The decorations
are amazing.
Yeah, they really did good. There's the rose where the petals are falling off that you see inside. Yeah. And you do capture, the nighttime effect outside.
I think for the cost for the dinner.
But the food was not what I hoped.
Yeah, it was just not there.
I could have had the same thing at Pinocchio House and been good.
I don't know.
Because well, Pinocchio House has that same the same vibe.
The menu has changed since we went.
Yes, it
it's
has.
More. It's a you pay the meal and they bring it. It's not something that you really have a choice for. It's a prefix meal.
And they tried to do a lot of French food at the very beginning. A lot of French-based ideas. For a bunch of little kids, the French-based meals did not work. Mm-hmm. My daughter, who was like, I want ratatouille, and then tried ratatouille and went, oh, I hate ratatouille.
I don't like ratatouille. If you want French food in Disney, go to Epcot.
Yeah.
Just saying that. However, I am going to say, the song did not lie. Try the gray stuff.
It's delicious.
Okay. couple of attractions that we haven't talked about that we like to go to. I know we do. We like to go to the Tiki Room.
Yes.
If you want to talk about old animatronics.
Yeah, they're old, very old.
But again, another one of those songs that are there. One of my...
The Tiki Room also has a good seating if you've got a wheelchair because they're like a set of bleachers.
Bleachers, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's kind of nice. It's a little bit easier. It's a little like the Lion King.
Yeah, I was going to say that. It's a smaller version of the Festival of the Lion King, which is in Animal Kingdom. Okay, now, with that said, something that I'm not a big fan of. I will go on every once in a while just because it's quintessential Disney. It's a small world.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the song. It gets in your head. Now.
And I love you, Mrs. Caldwell, if you're listening, but I just want to tell you, Mary, that song was in my music book as a kid, and that song went in my head then, and then it got worse when I went on the ride. And, so, yeah.
Mariella Sharp will be saying the same thing. Do not. It just...
It goes on
It goes
and
into
on.
your head. Again, I can sing "It's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow" all the time, and I'm reminded of it. But it's a world of... Oh, I'm not going to sing it. It gets onto it. It used to be that it was piped out into the park.
Yeah.
A little bit. They've stopped that.
Yeah, you don't hear it as much anymore.
You have to be really close to the attraction to start even hearing a glimmer of it anymore. That was there. That's kind of a... I think you should do it. If you're a Disney fan, you should do it at least. And if you like it, you like it. And it's one of those things. It's just not my cup of tea. Then again, I don't like tea that well.
Well, I was going to say, that's kind of...
I'm kind of that way with Snow White.
And you were talking about like places to shop there, by the way.
Oh yeah. We haven't got to places to shop.
Yeah, that's another thing we had talked about doing, and I'm like that. Realistically, Magic Kingdom has some of the better shopping experiences because you have the Emporium on one side that just goes straight through.
That has everything
and anything you'd ever want. It's a mini version of World of Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got that. The shops on the other side, I can't think. Oh, the confectionery, which is, yes, it's food and stuff, but you go through, and then they have a little places where you can get your own ears. We were in...
There's Pandora that's in there, so if you've got like bracelets or anything you're interested in, or maybe the dresses.
Very high-end stuff over there.
Dooney and Burke. Vera Bradley.
Ariba, the crystal stuff. They have that over there. And then they have down by Tony's Town Square, they have some kind of a gift shop right there that has some, of course, everybody's got pins and a few of those things. But they also have hats, Mickey ears and that kind of stuff. And I think there you can get them customized.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
There's an area for
There's an area where they will sew on your name, or
there's like a machine that does that for
baby's
you.
First trip or whatever.
Right.
Though that's pretty cool.
But that definitely is a good area for shopping. And at least if you're going to make Magic Kingdom your first day, what I used to do with the kids would be like, okay, here's the deal. This is your first day. We're going to go to a bunch of other places, but I want you to look and decide, yes, I definitely want this. Yes, I definitely want it. And kind of have your little checklist of, there's like maybe 2 or 3 things you definitely wanted in that place that you were sure you wanted. And you don't get to get them because you want to be able to go to other places and see what else there is. But you want to have that experience with that being a full shopping center of getting to see it all.
And then again, we also knew that we were going to probably come back to the Magic Kingdom. When we were doing that, we usually made 2 days for Magic Kingdom. And that's the one thing that I was going to talk to you about, is that Magic Kingdom is really a 2-day park.
It really is. There's
If
a
not
lot
more.
of
There's a lot of
things
things
to
you can do, and if you do it 2 days, yes, you're going to see some overlapping. And yes, I'm going to the Carousel Progress at least twice.
I'm going to the Haunted Mansion twice.
But for that worked, and sometimes we would plan it out that we go the first day and the last day, or we go real early and then still make it our last day.
And I will tell you too, one thing about the shopping there too, there's some stores there that you aren't gonna find anywhere else. Yes. And I got to tell you, there's Memento Mori that's associated with Haunted Mansion. I have a friend who absolutely adores all things like with the haunted stuff too, and so getting her a gift
who's
there
really
is
big
so,
into Halloween. She puts in
a
big Halloween party every year, and we're always looking for something that would be good for
her Halloween.
And we've already been looking.
Yeah, we already have. And so we enjoy that. There's also there that you find is
the old Christmas shop.
Yeah, the old Christmas shop. Shoppy. No, but it definitely does. It gives you some Christmas ideas and lots of ornaments to give, because a lot of people are still giving ornaments. You're thinking of Christmas, even in July, thinking, what am I going to get for so-and-so? Maybe maybe it's a coworker, maybe you've got a babysitter, and those are small gifts that you can get.
And being that we are no longer, we have friends now still in Florida now that we started.
Right.
But a lot of our really close friends are either in North Carolina or back home in Illinois. And we're always thinking, that'd be great for her for Christmas. Or, we've thought about that for Mariella. I didn't want her to hear that.
It might be.
But the old Christmas shop also does little engraving on ornaments too,
or drawing. They have painting, like a painting kind of thing that they do.
I think back in Storybook Circus is Pete's Silly Sideshow.
There's a lot of
big
things in
Big
there
Top
too.
Souvenirs is what it's called. There's
and lots of little kid stuff there. If you're ever like your kid has blown out a diaper and you are stuck and you want to go into that area. Go to the Storybook area, because that one holds a lot of little baby kids' clothes.
And also another good area for that is what I call the you have Mickey's tailor shop, the
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
One right behind the
right after the PhilharMagic. It's the,
no, I wasn't even thinking of that one, but that's
the
a good one too.
PhilharMagic gift shop is really good.
Most of the almost every attraction has its own little gift shop.
Some of them have some just unique stuff. If you have like a musician friend, I will tell you, the Mickey's PhilharMagic has a lot of musician stuff in there.
But then you have a couple of shops along the way. I know that over next to Pooh Corner or Winnie the Pooh area, they have one. They have one over in Tomorrowland called not Star Tours. No.
I don't even know what they're called.
They're
changing some of those names.
But if you go into Tomorrowland and you go over by across from kind of like the Tomorrowland roadway speedway area, and there's a few there's at least one or two good gift shops there. Yeah. Magic Kingdom's very good on gift shops.
They've been doing it a long time.
And depending on what time of the year, depends on what you can get there. Now, the one thing that she said when we did that, again, we were going there one time a year. And one good thing about any shop that you shop at Disney is that it will send it either to the front of the park that you can pick it up later, or it will actually, unless it's the last day of your trip, they will send it to your actual resort that you're staying at.
You can have things sent.
You can have things sent there. Plus, you can actually have things sent to your home. I know they will mail out certain stuff. So you're not spending all day lugging things around, even though sometimes we do. But one last thing I was going to talk to you about is the parade at Magic Kingdom.
Okay.
The Festival of Fantasy Parade. And now we're talking about only times when it's there, because there are other parades that happen during the year, but we're going to talk definitely about the Festival of Fantasy Parade. I personally think it is the best parade that any Disney park has ever produced.
Yeah.
Other than a specialty parade for like Halloween or Christmas, and I haven't seen those yet. I did see the Christmas one last year, but it's definitely one thing. The parade before, I can't even think of the name of it. Parade before was not this way.
The 3:00 parade. No.
The 3:00 parade. I personally think the Festival of Fantasy Parade.
Well, you see, the Festival of Fantasy Parade has everything. It's kind of nice because they compartmentalize a bit. You see, like, all the princesses within a couple of floats, but you kind of see, like, half the float will be one part of it, half of it will be another, and you get to see all of them in combination with one another, which is kind of nice because you know, you get to see like all of Tangled and you see all of the cast. I mean, there's a lot of interactive quality to it. You have a lot of people coming off of those floats and doing dancing, and you got flips and, you know, and doing all kinds of acrobatics in front of you. And so you kind of get to see quite a bit in that parade. And there, like I said, it's all compartmentalized. So like you think, I want to see the part with Peter Pan. Pretty much once Peter Pan section goes by, if you're moving on, you can keep moving on.
Also, you can be at almost any spot in along the parade route, which goes from Frontierland over by what used to be Splash Mountain. That's soon going to be there. It winds around through Liberty Square into around by the castle and stuff, and then ends up over by the fire station in off of Main Street, off of Main Street, USA. And it is just one of those things you go here, and you know, now I'm to the point where I can see it, take a few pictures, and then go on because I've seen it so many times before. However, I still just find myself going, "Oh, wow,
you get mesmerized by all of it.
You just get stopped, and it's
really
one of those things." I think that way with a lot of the entertainment along there. The Dapper Dans, even the castle shows, which is basically the same one over and over.
But it's still fun. You still find yourself stopping and watching longer than you really planned on it when you did. So definitely plan that in between. If you have to meet somebody and that starts, don't get yourself stopped too quickly and not pay attention.
And know ahead of time. You know, it starts down at Frontierland. The parade itself actually starts at 3:00. We know a little bit more about it because we know we've been in it. They usually send out the marching band, the Disney marching band, at about 2:35. Yeah. They send out the grand marshals at about 2:40, 2:45, and go through there. And then at 3:00, they're starting the whole rest of the parade. You start off with Cinderella and stuff. And the last thing we'll talk about, every once in a while, it's not every trip, because it's definitely not every trip, take some time to watch the fireworks. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to watch it on Main Street every time. One of the best times I ever saw the fireworks, and now fireworks, not the castle show and all, I mean not the projection stuff, was behind the castle. It just to see the fireworks, it was amazing. We watched it from the beach at Polynesian before.
And you can honestly, we actually were staying at.
We stayed at Boardwalk.
Yeah.
Not the Boardwalk, but the yacht club last time.
And you can see a lot of the
You can see
you can from any of the hotels is my point. So sometimes, like, if you've got a hotel and you decided you want to stay at the Contemporary and you're going to just stay there, just stay at your hotel and go out on a balcony somewhere and you'll get to see your fireworks, and it's kind of nice, like where you're at.
If all you're into is the fireworks. Now, if you're into the projections and stuff, which are really cool, don't get me wrong, because I stood in the middle of the last time I watched it, I stood in the middle of Main Street. I was alone by myself. She was back home. She was back at the hotel watching the fireworks from Epcot that night. So, but if that's your druther, if fireworks are something, definitely take time and watch some Disney fireworks.
Yeah,
they're awesome. They're awesome. That's all I'm gonna say. They're awesome. And we thank you for listening to us ramble for almost an hour. But again, I'm Pete Dragstrom from letpeteplan@gmail.com, and this is my lovely wife,
Jule Dragstrom, and you can find my style dots at jule.styledotshome.com.
And
I'm actually wearing today. And I'm wearing, both of these are pieces that we have. So
yeah. Have a magical day, and if you're around in Animal Kingdom on Tuesday, you might see me there. Goodbye.